This is Entrepreneurs Get Visible, the podcast for people who want more impact, influence, and income. I'm Anna Parker-Naples, and I'll be sharing with you proven methods from leading entrepreneurs that help you get visible as an authority in your field. Because anything's possible when you get visible. Hey there! So today I want to talk about when you should ditch an idea in your business, whether that's a product, a service, something that you stand for. When should you get rid of that product, service, offer, that positioning? And how can you do that so that it doesn't feel really, really uncomfortable? So many of you have been watching recently as I have embraced a new area of my business, and I had sat on that for a little while. I'd sat on the nudges of whether I was ready to do that, whether I felt comfortable to do that, whether my business would allow me to do that. And I want to talk you through some of the thoughts and processes that have gone on for me, not only this time in changing what I'm doing, but also when this has happened for me in the past, it has happened many times, actually. I feel that my process as an entrepreneur is constantly about a process of evolution and growth myself. And if that really speaks to you, I'd love you to let me know. So one of the changes I've been making in my business recently is moving away just from people knowing me on the online space for podcasting. And one of the reasons that I'm able to do that is because I built up very stable and strong revenue streams, passive income streams, mostly, or semi-passive, that mean that I don't have to be fully present in those businesses. So the first thing is that when looking at making a shift for yourself, can you financially viably do that? Or do you need to make sure that the income streams you already have are supporting you and will continue to support you? There's no way that I could have allowed myself financially to have made the change if I hadn't built up those semi-passive or passive income streams. So what I would be thinking about first is the offers that I've already got out there. How can I be making them so that you are not having to live deliver everything? And this is something that's important for your business generally. How can you put things into funnels? How can you live deliver once and repurpose so that the valuable assets that you're creating exist without you? And there are wonderful automations that we can create in the online space now. So how can you, with the things you've already got, the things that potentially you want to leave behind or have working without you, can you ensure that you've got the content and the funnel built so that you don't have to have all of your focus and attention on them? So the other thing for me was I had noticed some nudges for quite a long time that I was ready to shift and change. And I sat on those and they actually made me feel very uncomfortable. But at the same time, I knew that there was huge amounts of money financially for me if I continued on that same path. So I knew for quite a while that I had to follow that messaging to the nth degree. And that's what I would talk about in masterminds that I'm part of and coaching that I've had, that I was prepared and willing to sit on some of those urges and nudges for a while whilst I built these income streams. And for me, what that looked like was going hell for leather is the phrase that keeps coming up for me. It's one of my dad's phrases. I don't know why that's coming up, but I was prepared to throw myself all in to one direction. And again, not the slightly bizarre pop group, but I was prepared to put myself all eggs in one basket to get the financials. And I think that there's actually a lot to be said for doing that. In fact, there was an interview I did around the 100th episode on Entrepreneurs Get Visible, where I interviewed Steve Olsher, who runs Podcast Magazine, very successful entrepreneur. And he was saying, if you've got two different ideas, two different directions you want to go in, which one should you do? And his answer, and I think this has been my experience also, his answer was go with the one that you can get to 100K on the quickest. Because once you've got that 100K coming into your business, then you can shift and change and do anything else. Because often the 100K, that 6-figure mark, is the place that does allow big shifts in your business, in your home life, your personal life. So which one can you get to that mark the quickest? But I also want to acknowledge that as entrepreneurs, and many of us are entrepreneurs because we want more, we feel like we're made for more, we feel like we're entitled is the wrong word, but that it is open to us. And in having those mindsets, those big, expansive self-development mindsets, often it's because we do have a lot of creative impulses. And so it's okay that you want to do lots of different things. And I think that I want to remind you that whatever you're doing right now is not necessarily what you're going to be doing in 2 or 3 years' time, and that that's okay. If you are at that point where you are having nudges, or the thing that you should be doing something different, that you're feeling a little bit resentful or angry that you're seeing other people online doing something different that you feel you should be doing, I do think you need to start acknowledging that. I'd be tapping into thinking about, when I see someone else going out and doing a particular thing and getting particular results, what level of frustration is that bringing up? What's the thought that sits behind it? Why does that irritate me? Why does that give me a feeling that I'm not in the right direction? Because the more you journal around that, the more you think around those things, you can get really clear on, okay, so what am I not doing that's causing me to feel this way? Because it's always about you and where you're at when you notice those moments of frustration. What am I not doing that is kind of triggering me when I see someone else doing it? And what would happen if I allowed myself to do it? What would happen if I allowed myself to build that, but acknowledged it doesn't all have to happen today, and that I haven't failed by taking this particular path that I'm on? It just doesn't fuel me or light me up any longer. I'm also going to flag up that I think as entrepreneurs, there's kind of that messaging that you're going to get better results if you're known for that one thing, that niche one thing. And I do to some extent think that that is true. Having said that, many of us have different skills, talents, and abilities. So once you have conquered one area, allow yourself that evolution and that growth. And how much of what you've created originally can you put onto a funnel? So I do think that that's important as you grow your business awareness and your business knowledge. If something is feeling a little bit icky and you have become known for something that you no longer want that to be the only thing that you are known for, then I think it's important at the right time, once you've got all of the back end, the business stuff in place, for you, instead of trying to dip your toe into testing something new, own it. Absolutely own that you are going to be doing something different. That's what you guys have seen. If you've been watching my content over the last month or so, you've seen that I've kind of gone, you know what? There is more to me and more I want to create in the world long term than just talking about podcasting. And actually, by the very fact that I have the podcast, Entrepreneurs Get Visible, and we talk about all sorts of things on here, I actually already had the foundations for what I wanted to create next. I haven't pussyfooted around. I haven't dipped my toe in. I've just said to you, this is what's happening, and I've owned it. And I actually think that amazing things can happen when you allow it to happen at speed. I think that all sorts of things unravel when you go 100% in. There's an energy to it. There's an excitement to it. And so often in the entrepreneurial space and in the online space, we can feel, I've got to create more content. I've got to do these things. I've got to show up every day. I've got to write another post. But if your joy isn't in that, if that doesn't spark you or light you up, it's just going to become arduous and you're going to resent it. Now, I didn't come into the entrepreneurial online space with the intention of building something that felt arduous, hard, and like I didn't like it. What is actually the point of that? Many of us are entrepreneurs so that we can have freedom. And that freedom also allows you to grow, expand, and evolve. And if that's something you have to do with your products and services and your offerings and the way you show up online, then bloody own it. And yes, I think so. Joy is watching as I live deliver this today. And she's saying synchronicity and momentum are amazing. I do believe that when you show up for yourself and powerfully say, this is the direction I'm going into, all sorts of things will align easily and quickly for you. So, for example, my most recent thing was I decided a month ago, just 29 days ago, I was going to host an event. I was going to be running a new VIP package. I was changing a lot of my funnels. Well, not changing, adding to my funnels, and kind of just owning what I was doing. And we've got a few days left now until I host my event. We've got some incredible entrepreneurs coming. We've got videographers, photographers coming. I've got a whole new suite of products that are about to come out, things that I've known for a long time I wanted to deliver, but it never felt like the right time. The other time, earlier on in my business, in terms of the motivational space, I can remember going to an event at Hay House and sitting in that audience. So Hay House is one of the leading publishers for self-development and spiritual books. I remember sitting in that audience and knowing that I was no longer going to pretend that it would take me months or years to change my business. I remember driving home from Bristol in my little car and literally mapping out on that 2.5 hour, 3 hour journey home exactly what I was going to do and how fast this was going to happen. I even pulled over on the way home that night to announce to my audience, I'm going to be making a special announcement tomorrow. I feel so in flow. I feel so connected to what I'm about to do. I'm really scared, but I'm really excited. And the very next morning, by 9 a.m. the next morning, I had dropped my business name. I had changed my messaging. I'd really owned who I was. And that for me was the beginning of me rebranding everything to under my own name, under the core business, the umbrella business, if you like, is now called Anna Parker-Naples Limited, so that it allowed me to be, like you say, in flow, but also any avenues that I wanted to bring into my business, they all still work. They're all still a fit because it's me and my personal brand. So stop telling yourself that you can't change. Stop telling yourself that there's no way and it would take too long. The truth is, I had very strongly put out messaging to you and made massive changes within 72 hours, and people had bought from me. I'd actually, with my new idea, I'd made £10,500 within a week of putting out that new message. Now, that felt expansive. It felt joyful. It felt aligned. I know some of you who listen are more spiritual and in touch with your intuition, if you like. But I think if we have a business that we're trying to flog, okay, and there's a strong word there, that we're trying to flog that doesn't feel right, you're not going to have the success that you want. So tap into that question. If you're starting to notice that actually you don't care about getting your clients a result, even if they get great results, that's no longer the business for you. If you actually don't care about getting up and sharing your knowledge on a particular topic anymore, that is not the business for you anymore. Now, for me personally, I knew that the whole podcasting space still aligns with my message about growth, about success, about getting quick results. And I knew that I was prepared to do that and own it powerfully and positively for a period of time until the next nudge came from me. And that nudge came, and it came really strongly. And I now, as a result, am able to just step up and really own what I'm doing. But that doesn't mean that I've had to immediately close down the doors of the rest of my podcasting business. Of course not. I run the podcast agency, the podcast booking boutique. We have the podcast membership. We've got various funnels that are being built that will go out automatically. But at core, there was something stronger that I stand for. And I was not prepared any longer to hide that part of myself. And I want you, as I finish this today, I want you to think about what parts of what you want to show up as in the world are you currently squashing? And what would happen if you actually allowed yourself to step into that, and quickly? What would happen is you would feel energized, excited, motivated. All the blocks that you're currently allowing because you're telling yourself that story that it can't happen, it'll take forever, no one would trust me, no one would believe me, I'd be stuck. It's all rubbish. You're making it up. Things would happen quickly and in flow, and you would feel joyful and expansive, and you would get results. So I wanted to share that with you today about what to do when you know you're ready to ditch an idea, or what to do when you are ignoring the fact that you know deep down you've got to ditch an idea. And ditch is maybe the wrong word. Maybe it's more about that pivot, that well-loved word from the beginning of lockdown 2019. It is scary, it is exciting, but my God, isn't that what we're here for? Aren't we here to do things with our lives that we love? Those of us in the entrepreneurial space, we have not decided to go into jobs where we are required to do what somebody else tells us to do. We're creating this expansion because it matters to us. So go out there and expand. The other thing I want to let you know about is that I have a mastermind coming. And if you are listening to this on the podcast, by the time this goes out, you will be able to go to the link of wherever you're listening to this podcast, click on it and find out all about my new mastermind. That's it from me today. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Entrepreneurs Get Visible. To get your free checklist on how to raise your profile and to find out about our community, go to annaparkernaples.co.uk/get visible.